UX design has always valued structure, methods and frameworks that unfold step by step, guiding us toward clarity, toward solutions crafted with intention. For years, that discipline set skilled designers apart. But today, something new is reshaping the landscape. Generative AI has made it faster, cheaper, and easier for almost anyone to explore ideas that once took experience to produce. And suddenly, the distance between a seasoned designer and an eager beginner feels smaller than it used to. For some, that change brings uncertainty, as if the ground is quietly moving beneath their feet. For others, it feels like possibility, an invitation to imagine wider, to experiment with abandon, to move at a pace that once seemed impossible. So what does a skilled designer do now? Hold on to the comfort of familiar paths? Or embrace tools that can amplify their thinking far beyond the boundaries of tradition? Because if AI can help anyone create something good, the real question that lingers is this: what does it take now to create something truly great? Following the call with Dr. Sandy from GIS Aid, the participants get busy rethinking the problem statement and setting up their plan for the remaining days of the challenge. All the teams have been engrossed in deep discussions, trying to figure out their respective approaches. Our mentors, Saurabh and Prasad, notice the air of uncertainty around and decide to do something about it.
Whatever decisions you have made yesterday that you as a team are comfortable with, okay? Write them down on your board. Okay? Second thing, whatever things you have not been able to make a decision on, that you are struggling with, okay? Write them on the board. 15 minutes. So that is total 30 minutes. Okay? Once that is done, we'll review it and we'll figure out a way to play.
The task seems simple enough. First 15 minutes to write down the decisions that everyone agrees upon, and second 15 to write down everything that's pending. The confusion that follows pulls even the mentors in.
Identify and prevent. Identify and handle.
Identify and alert prevent.
As early as possible.
But what could be the real reason behind such decision paralysis?
What did you realize?
We started writing what we have done rather than what decisions we have made.
Getting a consensus built in a team environment is never easy, even more so with a difficult problem to solve and a fast approaching deadline.
You are misunderstanding the difference between effort and outcome. The outcome is, what did you guys agree upon? What you're thinking about is, okay, what are all the things that we've done? So what happens is, when you're in a group meeting or when you're in a team setting, we might discuss a lot. We might think that we have reached some kind of an agreement, okay? But suddenly when we're supposed to put it on the board, we realize we really don't have agreements.
With that observation, the teams now can probably make decisions faster, and Prasad obliges them with another chance.
Turn around and say, what are the decisions you need to make to get agreements? We need to decide who our stakeholders are. We need to decide what our goal is. Write down the decisions you need to make so that you can get going with the program. 15 minutes, go for it.
Like for us, so that
But now we will finalize.
domain level something.
Do you know what in your team?
We have been doing this.
Do you have clarity on your roles?
The teams come back once again, and Prasad hears them all out, one by one.
So we have arrived at the marshmallow, but we don't know the scope of our MVP. So we want to figure out the path for the marshmallow.
Okay, so you don't. Okay, you need help with the scope. What about you guys?
Came down to the MVP. What to take, what to leave out.
What is your MVP is what you're figuring it out. Okay, good.
Like what is our marshmallow or what should we exactly target on?
So you're still trying to figure out what your target needs to be. What about you guys?
We're working on prioritization of stakeholders, prioritization of data, and yeah, we're working on that.
You need to prioritize your stakeholders and your data. All right.
We still figure out which direction we have to.
You need to figure out your direction. All right.
Prioritization of theme and stakeholders.
Theme and stakeholders. All right, good. The reason we are not able to get to these answers is why?
Interconnected relationships.
Okay, you're struggling with understanding the interconnectedness. Is that right?
As everyone finishes articulating their problems, Prasad makes them aware of the reality that stares at them and the approach that is needed.
We are used to planning. We have to plan. We have to identify the problem. We have to do all of that stuff. And then there's a systematic process. You've learned to do it right using the rules. But with AI, you need to break those rules, right?
This leaves the participants stunned. Conventions are followed for good reasons. They are safe.
What you thought were your boundaries before are no longer there. So you need to kind of figure out how you're going to go beyond that. We're going to take one team's problem, okay? We're going to sit down with perplexity and solve it. Then give you ideas of how you can go do what you need to do. Give me a problem that we can solve together.
A practical demonstration with AI will certainly help everyone understand what it takes to break the rules. The immediate challenge of breaking down the scope for MVP is chosen as the focus of the demonstration.
So what we're doing is we're breaking this huge, seemingly impossible problem into smaller, decomposable problems. In order to do scope, we need to know our time limits. Okay? So time is one. So you need to figure out how much you need to do your deliverables. So the second element is your deliverables.
Our participants soon start identifying each unknown variable one by one.
Who are my stakeholders? Right? If you don't know who your stakeholders are, you don't know how to attack it. And again, which stakeholder impacts how much? You don't know. Okay? So let's go in. Who are my stakeholders? What else?
Priorities to the stakeholders. What are the priorities?
What are my priorities?
What problem we are actually going to solve?
What problem am I trying to solve?
What resources I have available to solve that problem?
So let's put in what resources do we need? What is the journey? What journey are we assuming?
We have a twist. If we are not able to log in and access, what are our other ways to still get to understand what is happening with this?
Okay. How do you get your data? Where do you get your data from? Anything else we may have forgotten, like that we need to solve before we get the answer? Yes.
Verifying the background to derive the support.
Background of the?
Background of the product.
Okay, so you want to understand a little bit more about the background of the product.
How we will kind of come to the scope of the
So strong understanding of the product. All right. Yes, sir. Competitor analysis. So is it competitor analysis or is it complaints? The reason I ask you that is when we do competitor analysis, we get blinded by what the competition is doing and we stop thinking about our customers, right? So it's a very subtle thing. Are you worried about the competitor? Are you worried about satisfying your customers? So the better way to state that is, I want to know what my customers are struggling with. All right. Anything else? Yes, sir.
What are my constraints? We don't have real-time data.
Absolutely. So what are my constraints under which I'm operating? All right, let's put that in. So, yes.
how are the different stakeholders engaged with the platform currently?
So how are the different stakeholders engaging with the platform? Right?
Every single unknown is identified and categorized carefully, deliberately. Then, and only then, AI comes into the equation. With the nuanced reasoning approach empowered by the surgically managed usage of AI, the fog of ambiguity starts clearing for everyone. And an important lesson is learned. Intent matters. Constraints matter. AI can give answer for any query, but without intent or constraints, AI can actually take complete control of the conversation, and the participants may soon find themselves trapped in decision fatigue or heading in a completely wrong direction without even realizing it. This is when he starts seeding the idea of building a strategic framework to make informed decisions.
My challenge to you is find as many solutions as you can, right? This is what a good designer will do. Okay? All this AI stuff, everybody else will do. If you put this on YouTube, everybody else will do this. Okay? But now what you need to do is, how do I decide what I'm going to do? Okay? Achyut has given us a framework. Okay? His framework is, go back to the value proposition. If my goal was to save 10 million lives, which of these digital experiences should I prioritize for both of these users? So now you realize some requirements are common between all users. So Achyut's strategy was focus on the people that can give me the most outcome. That is also a valid strategy. The other strategy is focus on all the common elements so that I can get that common experience done, so that I'm not duplicating work for that. Right? That is also a strategy. AI can be incredibly time wasting if you don't remember what you're trying to do. You guys are designers. My job is not to train you on this. This is, you guys will figure it out, right? Even if I was here or not, doesn't matter. You'll figure it out. But what you need to learn is, what are my strategies? In how many different ways can I, as a designer, scope out an interface that meets both the needs for these users? Right? And you can say one strategy is to focus on common features. Right? The other strategy is to focus on features that will deliver the most amount of value. Are there other strategies that I can think? And again, notice the context. What if our problem was to simplify the whole experience for all users together? Maybe that's a strategy. So my advice is, look at this and bring your personal flavor to this product. What you were doing was you were going into the team with opinions. Opinions based on what? Your feeling versus my feeling. Now, instead of being solely responsible for the ideas, you are now responsible for auditing, and you're responsible for prioritization, the framework for prioritization. When you do that, magic happens. Fair enough?
Following the intense session, the teams break away for a quick strategic rethink. Saurabh and Simran go around and talk to all the participants one by one, gently nudging them in the right direction. However, they are careful to not disrupt anyone's thought processes. Their role is restricted to just being a guide and to help everyone ask the right questions. As part of this guiding initiative, the individual teams have been assigned mentors with whom they can interact online. These are well-respected and experienced design leaders in their own right.
So, in order to help you, you have 3 people that are going to be allocated to you, mentors. Okay? Now, 2 of these mentors are based out of Hyderabad. One of these guys is out of San Francisco. So, you 3 teams each will be given to 1 mentor. Okay? How you utilize their time is completely up to you. Okay? However, they will give you some time slots. Make sure you sign up for it and you get the most out of them.
More mentors. Apprehension shows up on everyone's faces. Is this the right time? But one team, Team 4, takes the initiative and decides to reach out to their mentor. They are the first ones to do so, and they soon realize they were right on time. The short call is filled with insights and clarification for everyone. And they all seem a little more positive for the ambiguous journey ahead. Encouraged by the experience of Team 4, other teams also reach out to their respective mentors and take valuable feedback. Even those who were initially apprehensive because they were themselves not sure of the direction they were moving in, now seek out their mentor as soon as they get a little more clarity.
We did decide to have this conversation one day behind schedule because to be very honest, we were very confused with the problem statement itself and where we should focus.
The mentors themselves reflect on these interactions with all the teams as Simran asks them what they think of these participants.
I think from the outset, I liked the quality of the people for sure, because I think just did not feel that they were students or the first timers. They had quality thought process, quality questions, and I think they had a process walking in. So I think that really was something that I liked.
I think across all teams, one thing that's common is I think they're putting 100% effort in whatever they're doing.
I feel like initially there was a lot of excitement at the beginning of the program and the problem statement was given. And I see a lot of confidence. I think over the journey, eventually they realized that none of them were actually getting right. And that's why I feel Prasad gave a big realization that, like, what your marshmallow is not actually what you are thinking.
Yeah. So very interesting. So Vinay had brought up an interesting thing, right? The teams that had booked the call earlier were the ones that failed faster, and the whole marshmallow challenge that they had was exactly that.
I think for them, I would say the key takeaway should be that they have to evolve themselves as a problem solver, rather than putting a lot of functionalities and trying to overboard the end outcome. And then the second thing I would generally recommend is I think refining AI output. So I think the AI output is there. I think it's great to leverage, do that smart work. But I think once they have that, trying to do a heuristic analysis or trying to evaluate what is coming out in detail, I think that was another thing I would generally recommend to make sure they're keeping the eye on that.
One last feedback for every team across, I would say, is empathy. I think that it's not users as users, that it's somebody. I think there's a human on the other side. I think when people start realizing that there's a human on the other side, that's the reason we said start giving a name to your user. Just keep interacting, keep using the name they're saying I'm going to do it for the virologist Victor, I'm doing for the policy manager Paul, or whatever. Start talking. It's Victor's experience, it's Paul's experience. That way you build empathy. I think from an experience overall, I think we've never had this opportunities of working on a real-time project which will make a difference for lives tomorrow, right? I think that opportunity or that exposure itself is a rarity.
But this time what made the challenge more interesting is now think about your solution in constraints, which is the real world scenario as well. But the interesting part is every team made sure that they came back and said, okay, Purna, we understand the MVP, but we also have a lot of ideas. So what do we do? So we had a conversation that, yes, focus on your MVP, but do talk about what is that future vision going to look like? Because it's important for the stakeholders to take away that, you're not just thinking about what is the immediate need and deliverable, but you're also focusing on what's coming later.
All right, guys. So we've got a call now. So let's catch up and see how these teams perform at the call. So thanks for spending time with having this discussion.
The mentors are well aware of the challenges that lie ahead for these participants, and they can only hope that their advice is heeded in time. Next, the students must prepare for a team presentation which encapsulates all their learning so far. They must be prepared for a critique that challenges their understanding from their peers as well as their mentors. Will their efforts justify the outcomes? Or will it be all in vain? Let's find out in the next episode.